Tuesday, June 16th, Rabbi Shmuley podcast. President Obama just said a little while ago that he does not want to meddle in the Iranian elections. He pointed out that the United States had a very mixed history when it came to Iran, which is why the United States was identified as the great Satan by many of the Iranian Islamic revolutionaries. Of course, he also, without saying it, was referring to the CIA's involvement in a coup that put the Shah into power in the 1950s. We all know that history. But the fact that President Obama can compare the events of today to those events is simply astonishing. Number one, the riots in the streets of Tehran and in the streets of Isfahan and other great metropolitan centers in Iran are entirely from the people. This has nothing to do with the CIA or U.S. involvement. This is people tired of being lied to, being oppressed. This is the human desire for simple freedom, and even in the most limited democracy. Let's just remember that even Mousavi, who's claiming victory against Ahmadinejad, had to be first approved by the Council of Islamic Clerics before he could even run. This is a very limited democracy, and even in that tiny little space of freedom that the Iranian people are given, they want to steal the election. And Ahmadinejad, his contempt for his own people, the fact that he allows his militias to fire on and kill his people who are protesting peacefully, the fact that he calls them sand and dust, the fact that he said this is nothing more than like a team losing a soccer game. It just shows you what a tyrant he is. This man is a psychopath. Better yet, a sociopath, meaning he's incapable of really even being sensitive to other people's concerns. He's so self-absorbed. This is the ultimate narcissist. So he can't even understand the quelling of freedom riots in his cities. But that has nothing to do with what the United States ought to do. I'm very confused by President Obama's message. Number one, when he says that the United States won't meddle, haven't we supported pro-democracy movements all around the world? Isn't that what the United States is about? Aren't we about upholding freedom, democracy, where we are the world's oldest republic? Don't send the CIA in and do any kind of coup, of course not. But to simply tell the people who are demanding that their vote be counted that we respect that. Hey, that happened in the United States in the year 2000. We made sure that everyone's vote was counted. There were great legal battles about that. Second, President Obama is meddling pretty heavily in Israel's affairs. He's telling Israel they have to stop settlements, even though Israel removed all their settlements from Gaza. That didn't lead to any peace. It led to non-stop attacks from Hamas, who took over Gaza because Israel did remove its settlements unilaterally. And they turned Gaza into one giant Katyusha launching pad. I'm not going to get into whether settlements are the issue, the obstacle to Middle East peace or not. What I'm trying to say is that President Obama said that the change he wanted after the Bush years was that the United States would no longer interfere, push countries. So therefore, we're not meddling in Cuba. We're not meddling in Venezuela. President Obama warmly embraced the Venezuelan dictator, Hugo Chavez. We're not meddling in countries like, even in North Korea. Fine. That's the way President Obama wants to play it, so be it. People voted for change, I get it. But you can't have it both ways. And Israel shouldn't be the only country you decide to meddle with when it's the only democracy in the Middle East. I find it really odd that President Obama is pushing Netanyahu so hard and getting his administration officials to read the Riot Act, which is what all the news reports are, to Netanyahu, that he has to be flexible and he risks losing American support, but he's not reading the same Riot Act. Ahmadinejad is a genocidal aspirant. I mean, it would be good to just dismiss him as some sort of harmless garden gnome, a clown on the international stage, but he is not that at all. He is a very astute leader. When you watch him in interviews with Western news agencies, he is exceptionally insightful. He knows how to turn around every question to become a question. He always is putting his interviewers on the defensive. He's a very astute man. He's an extremely dangerous man. We're not talking about a guy who just barks. This is a guy with quite a bite. He is building a nuclear arsenal in the Middle East. This is a country that already supports Hezbollah, that already supports Hamas. They support terrorist organizations. They're one step away. They can give a nuclear bomb to a terrorist organization. And if you think that's outlandish, do you want to take the chance? That's the question. Should Iran have the bomb? This is the time to meddle in Iranian affairs. This is the time to tell the Iranian people, because it's not meddling, like I said. Let me not make the same mistake. This is the time to tell the Iranian people, we support your aspirations for freedom. Every person has the right to be free. That's what the United States stands for. We don't stand for plasma TV screens. We don't stand for just the NBA finals. We can't cater and pander to these age-old stereotypes of Americans as nothing but shallow materialists. We stand for human rights. We stand for people mattering. And the President of the United States, the vanguard of freedom, the leader of the free world, says he doesn't want to be that leader. He won't meddle. He won't tell the Iranian people, the American people support you. Come on. This is a flight of fancy. This is ridiculous. President Obama, you're a man of incredible eloquence. You're the greatest political orator we've had on the national stage since John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King. Use that soaring oratory to support the Iranian people. Give a major speech in their support. Come on, show some leadership. This is not a time to draw back. The Iranian people are marching against Ahmadinejad. The United States is watching it as a spectator on the sidelines. No, that's astonishing. This is what we've been waiting for. We've been waiting to see a swelling of freedom in the Arab world, in the Islamic world. Rabbi Shmuley podcast. Thanks for listening. Sorry I sweat so much, by the way, guys. It's really hot in here, and if I turn on the air conditioner, then you won't hear me.